Right, people, DWP and the government, what are they up to now? They are passing a new bill which means they're going to be monitoring your banks. Yes, all people on benefits, the banks will be monitored once a month. Have a listen to this.
Passed its third reading and has now been passed on to the House of Lords, but not before the nasty party snuck in a last-minute extra bit of nastiness to force all banks to monitor the accounts of benefit claimants looking for suspected fraud. I can only assume it's too much to ask that they do this for offshore accounts of the rich in the Cayman Islands or the British Virgin Islands, of course, but no. They're going to make the banks do broad checks on benefit claims instead, in a bid to save, apparently, £500 million over 5 years. Here's a thought. How about you do this to Michelle Loan's bank account instead? To ask Dido Harding where that £37 billion in test and trace cash went. This is yet another culture war, yet more persecution for people.
That's that one. We do have another one, guys. There is another one.
Honest. Benefits claimants could have their bank accounts checked on a weekly basis as part of new efforts to cut down on fraud. Benefits claimants could have their bank accounts checked weekly to make sure they are being honest. Benefits claimants could have their bank accounts checked on a weekly basis as part of new efforts to cut down on fraud, it has emerged. But nothing about the PPE fraud. No investigation, no nothing. Billions were given to companies, but no one is interested in finding more. Suspicious how HMRC forgot to check bank accounts on this issue. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is expected to use his autumn statement later this month to unveil the fresh action.
Now wind that back a bit.
Billions were given to companies, but no one is interested in finding more. Suspicious how HMRC. But nothing about the PPE fraud.
Who remembers that? The PPE fraud during COVID. How many of you remember that one? They're not checking that one, are they?
No investigation, no nothing. Billions were given to companies, but no one is interested in finding more. Suspicious how HMRC forgot to check bank accounts on this issue. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is expected to use his autumn statement later this month to unveil the fresh action to ensure claimants are not lying about their savings. Benefit rules mean only people who have £16,000 or less in savings and investments are eligible to claim universal credit. According to the Telegraph, a new system will be implemented to put an onus on banks to run monthly or even weekly data checks to spot red flags that suggest risk of fraud. This could include a claimant's bank account indicating they have more than £16,000 in savings, or an account that regularly transfers money overseas, the newspaper said. It would mark a change from the current system, which requires the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, to have to individually request details of a claimant's bank account if they suspect fraud is being committed. The number of claimants across the UK soared from around 1.2 million in March 2020 to peak at 2.7 million in August of that year, partly due to changes in universal credit entitlement. We are ramping up our plans to root out fraud through our Fighting Fraud plan, which will bolster...
Well, there you go, guys. And have a look at that. Yeah. It's very much like China, isn't it? The government are monitoring our bank accounts and seeing what we're spending on. So there you go, guys. Our banks, who we have our accounts with, are going to be snooping on our accounts to see what we got going in and what we got going out. And if they don't like what they find, they've got to send it to the government. So your banks are supposed to be your friends and look after your money, and they're going to be spying on you on behalf of the Department of Work and Pensions and the government. So now we can't even trust our banks because they're doing the dirty work for the Department of Work and Pensions and spying on us. So there you go, guys. Thought I'd bring you that pretty piece of important information that we're being spied on by our own banks on behalf of the government. Make out of that what you will, guys. But there you go. We see it there. Our own banks are going to be spying on us on behalf of the government. Let's see what else we can find on this subject. What's this?
Okay, let's get into our first topic then. And is it okay to keep tabs on benefit claimants' bank accounts? Get your calls in for this now. Benefit claimers will have their accounts checked every month by their banks to make sure that they aren't lying about their savings. Now, you can't claim universal credit if you've got more than £16,000 worth of savings. They'll also check for red flags that could suggest a risk of fraud. If they spot anything suspicious, they'll then hand that information, those details, over to the government. At the minute, if the Department for Work and Pensions suspect fraud is being committed, then they have to individually request details of a bank account. The DWP reckons that £900 million a year is wrongly claimed. This proposed new law is supposed to be announced in the autumn statement. But is it a good idea, Lynn?
I don't think initially.
Well, there you go. How does it make you feel knowing that your bank is spying on your account on behalf of the government? I know most of you, quite a few sensible ones, will probably say, well, I've got nothing to hide, let them crack on. But it still feels wrong that the banks we trust with our money are going to be spying on our accounts once a month. It just feels wrong. What I do in my bank account is my personal private business. Like what you do in your bank account is your personal private business. It's not for our banks to start spying on us on behalf of the government. It's just wrong. It's wrong on every level. If they suspect people are committing fraud, well, pull them in and get their bank details. But I think it's wrong. You know, it means I can't trust my own bank because they're going to be spying on me. Spying on my account. You know, there's another article a few months ago where they're going to be spying on your social media accounts. Then give you checking, see if you've booked any holidays of airports, going abroad, you know, on benefits. Maybe you've been saving a bit up, I don't know. Maybe somebody paid for it for you for a birthday present or a Christmas gift. But then you've got to prove it's a birthday present or a Christmas gift. You know, you've got to keep explaining yourself. You know, like you're some in a police station being grilled and being interviewed, being interrogated. It's just wrong on every level. Let's play this one again. I'm going to play a bit more of it this time.
What's up?
Hi, Gerard.
Get rid of the demo, but let's run this one, play a bit more, play it right through and see where we go.
spying on your bank accounts too. Worse, there was no objection to
What was that one?
change.
Oh, go walkabouts.
Changes are part of China's preparations for conflicts over Taiwan. The self-government
We don't want
their
that.
plans outlined in the autumn statement, because now they'll be spying on your bank accounts too. Worse, there was no objection to it. Normally when you see one of these votes happen,
Right.
this is yet another culture war, yet more persecution for people already struggling in their daily lives with their health. Now, not knowing if Big Brother is rifling through their finances too. Right, so, as if the disabled, the long-term sick, the out of work don't have enough on their plates right now, as the Tories look set to find them fit for work come what may, or die in the process, somehow they're managing to become even crueler in their plans outlined in the autumn statement, because now they'll be spying on your bank accounts too. Worse, there was no objection to it. Normally when you see one of these votes happening in Parliament, the Speaker or Deputy Speaker asks for the ayes to the right and the noes to the left, and when the noes are loud enough, they call division, and MPs struggle off to vote, don't they? Well, there was no division regarding this extra clause. The ayes had it, the ayes had it. There was a later division vote on the schedule for bank spying, not the clause the Tories snuck in, and even then just 52 MPs voted against it. Just 7 of those were Labour. Most of them were SNP. Starmer, in customary style, sat on his hands over this, sat on the fence, arse full of splinters, as per usual. The allegation, the justification for this rule is that the number of benefit claimants has gone up since the pandemic. So we're talking all those people left with long COVID or associated other health issues because of government incompetence, let's face it, as the obvious target of this move, combined with Hunt's horrible move to toughen up sanctions even further, to the point of stripping people of their right to access free healthcare, legal aid and more. They allege that with more claimants come more fraud, completely ignoring the fact as ever that benefit fraud is basically negligible, whilst tax fraud is many, many, many times greater. Those people might be Tory donors though, or potentially Labour ones these days, since they basically nodded this through by providing no opposition to it. Now the claims made by the government on this are very simple. Oh, we're definitely just looking for the fraudsters, you understand. We're looking for those with more than £16,000 in savings.
Just looking for the fraudsters? I don't think so somehow. They're up to something else.
Proving people are no longer entitled to certain means-tested benefits, or we're looking for those who spend too long overseas and lose their entitlement. That would certainly justify the government including the disability benefit personal independence payment in their plans, because that benefit is not means-tested. It is absolutely irrelevant what your income is. If you claim that, it is all about how much support you need in your daily life to get up and get on because of disability or long-term ill health. But you lose entitlement to it if you spend more than 104 weeks out of the last 156 out of the country. And you also lose entitlement, temporarily at least, if you're in hospital for a prolonged period, more than a month, I believe it is. Now, it strikes me that this is going to apply to very few claimants all in all, a fraction of PIP claimants, because, let's face it, most people who are on benefits in this regard, they're not well off enough to go swanning off abroad for long periods of time, and they certainly don't have more than £16,000 rattling around in their bank accounts. A few will. So why make this a focus, really? Has to be another reason. There's always another reason when it comes to the Tories. You've always got to dig down to find out what they're really up to, what they're really after. The Tories know, as they have for the last 13 years, that you get the benefit bill down by kicking genuine claimants off their claims. That's why the process for claiming PIP, or Employment and Support Allowance, ESA, or Universal Credit, particularly the disability elements, so hard. And indeed, why they insist on reviewing these people when, for a lot of them, they will never get better. They have lifelong disabilities and illnesses. So what do you reckon is the real reason behind this then, Damo? I hear you ask. Well, I'm so glad you asked, because Jeremy Hunt's plans to force everyone to look for some form of work, even working from home if you're long-term sick or disabled, there's one exemption. And that is if the ill or disabled claimant of universal credit or the equivalent legacy benefit is also in receipt of PIP. Therefore, really, this is about finding people on PIP who they can try and kick off PIP, who they can then try and force into work. They can't do it based on earnings. It is not means tested. There was talk not long ago of reviewing that. That isn't on the table at this moment in time, though. Maybe in a future Tory manifesto. I wouldn't rule it out. But with PIP being the gateway benefit, I can see those claims being eyeballed for definite. If you weren't on PIP, expect to be coerced into work. So the government might well expect more claims for PIP to go in. That'll be fun, won't it? The DWP has a massive staffing crisis right now. It's currently operating almost a year behind with PIP claims and renewals, yet again. So even if people try to claim it, with this banking spy game due to begin apparently before the end of the year, they'll be fighting not only to claim PIP, because that in and of itself is a swine, but battling against delays in doing so too, as they face losing other entitlements because they simply are not fit for work. It's a royal mess in the making, but the Tories, they don't really care. This is vote fodder for the right wing, isn't it? General election coming up not too long, won't there? How will the banks implement this so fast as well? All the work, all the emphasis of this is being put on them to do this, isn't it? This job is being legislated upon them as things stand. How quickly can they do this? Will they need to recruit more staff to do so? Is it in their interest to do so, or are they going to argue the toss with the government instead? Especially with the DWP wanting them to check accounts monthly too. This is blatantly an invasion of privacy. When the same isn't being done to tackle tax fraud, which is...
There you go, I did say it. It's blatantly an invasion of privacy. They're gradually taking our rights away from us bit by bit. Our freedom of speech, we're not allowed to fly our own flag in our own country. Now they're spying on our personal bank accounts.
It's a much greater issue. They are as ever targeting the wrong place for sofa change in effect, rather than recouping meaningful large sums of money. Apparently it would involve lots of trained specialists to review bank accounts as well. But when that comes from a Tory, and considering we're talking about benefits here, I'm reminded of all those not at all well-trained benefit assessors out there who screw up on a regular basis and mess up people's lives. And I ask myself, how likely is it these people can not only be trained, but be put in place and begin the work within weeks and keep up with it? We're nearly in December. Not only is this an invasion of privacy, though, but it is a declaration by the Tories and Labour for not standing up for them, that disabled people and the long-term sick are to be automatically treated as criminals, along with their carers, of course, who gave up work to look after them, and for whom Jeremy Hunt has announced nothing in the way of support, as his plans for their charges start getting off the ground. What happened to innocent unless proven guilty? Now, everyone who happens to be long-term sick or disabled is guilty unless found innocent. With the benefit system still two-tiered as it is right now, and the government still have not got universal credit universally rolled out, of course, bearing in mind they said it would all be done getting on for 7 years ago now. That regularly still gets screwed up for people who can least afford it. For a demographic of whom hundreds of thousands of people have died due to how the Tories have for years mishandled the matter of the incomes and finances of the long-term sick and disabled. How anyone can have any faith in this being administered properly and so quickly is beyond me. It's for the birds. But the opposition mostly sat on their hands as it progressed through the Commons and now on to the Lords. It's not known yet. The Lords could still, have a fiddle, have a tinker, have a say. Should serve as a reminder that Starmer's law are absolutely no different. And with his Chancellor Rachel Reeves being most famous for saying, we'll be tougher on benefits than the Tories, there's little hope that things will change with them in charge instead. Guilty unless proven innocent. Invasions of privacy. Banks made to do a job that isn't really their business to do. Benefits will now have an extra layer of being screwed up by the Tories. It's just pitting deserving poor against undeserving poor. And people shouldn't be taken in by it, but should be disgusted by those introducing it. We've seen enough damage and fallout under the benefit system by now that we should all be wise to this by now. Planning it as well as those sitting on the fence and watching it happen. Refusing to stand up for those with additional needs as Labour are. The Tories and Labour truly are two cheeks of the same arse. So if this disgusts you as much as it does me, don't vote for either of them. Do disabled people and long-term sick people a big favour. Don't vote for either of them. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video.
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you can hear all that. I'm definitely not voting for either one of them, Labour or Conservatives, on the next general election. They are deliberately out to make our lives harder and harder and harder and make us poorer and poorer and poorer. They don't give a damn how ill you are. They will try and kick you off a PIP. They will try and kick you onto universal credit. They will try and kick you into work, no matter how detrimental it is to your physical or mental health. And if you've got both health problems, physical and mental, they still won't care. They will try and kick you off PIP and back into work. Even if you have a carer provided by the council, they won't care about that. As simple as that. Me myself, my care component pays for my care. That is what it's for. My mobility component pays for my mobility. I'm in a lot of physical pain all day. I also have COPD. So mobilising, I get out of breath very fast. I can't do any manual labour at all because I will be out of breath, can't breathe and pass out. But will the benefit agency give a damn about that? Probably not. All they'll probably turn around and say, oh, it's when you come round and get back to work. So there you go, guys. It's an invasion of our privacy, pouring for our bank accounts. You've seen these two pop-ups popping up here. So there you go, guys. You thought things were bad. Now your own bank account is no longer private. Yeah. The government are going to be pouring through your bank account. And the bank will be doing the job for them. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I just thought this is something that everyone needs to know about. Share this video to as many people as you can. And please like and subscribe. Be safe out there, guys.